Hi everyone, thank you very much for stopping by and returning to the old world. Today is the first of a number of videos which will be looking at the February update for a tale of many games. Why a number of videos are here, you ask? Well, unfortunately it's been fairly challenging to get all of the people taking part on the same call at the same time for the end of February review. We're now into March and things are looking a little bit tricky. As such, I'm providing updates from the players as and when possible. For myself, well, I've found it quite an interesting month since we last picked up this topic. I went in thinking I was going to build a list. There might be some tweaks needed to that list, but fundamentally, having played a lot of Warhammer Fantasy Battle back in the day, I was pretty comfortable that I'd get to a position where I wasn't going to fully Stillmania it, but I could get my list, and that will probably be the core of what I wanted to do throughout the event, leading me up to the tournament in Lansing in June. And it's not really turned out the way I thought it would. There's a lot of nuances around the game which mark them very differently, and I know, before anyone says in the comments, I know full well you can't use previous Warhammer experience as an expectation for Warhammer the Old World. It's its own standalone game. It is very different to the game that came before. I've played a number of games now, about 5 or 6 games, and I've found, despite changing my list a reasonable amount, there's a lot of consistency around how the Empire seem to be playing. Now, I've not experimented with every unit choice. I've not managed to get any demis into my force yet. I need to experiment with some flagellants, so that's going to come. But what I'm finding is the first 2, possibly 3 turns, depending on your opponent and what faction they're playing, the Empire is capable of dishing out some real damage. The artillery backed by an engineer, particularly cannons backed by an engineer, has been really useful for me. And I've found Outriders are a bit of a dark horse. They're capable of doing quite a lot of work, particularly their vanguard movement and then spraying enemies as they come in with lots of multiple shots. In one game, turn 1, they managed to rout a unit of Knights of the Realm, which, because it was turn 1 and I'd gone first, went flying off the field, and combined with my artillery then taking huge chunks out of a unit of Knights of the Grail and the second units of Knights of the Realm, led to the conclusion we're just going to call the game done at this point, reset and play again, because the Bretonnians had taken such a beating from the shooting that it was going to prevent us having a meaningful game going forward. Now, that is all well and good, but I found there is a fundamental challenge around most of the Empire roster, certainly the units that I've attempted to use. If you can't shoot the enemy off the board turn 1, turn 2, and generally speaking the lethality is lower, you can't. The problem comes when the enemy's combat troops collide with your own, because the Empire forces have a horrendous tendency to melt under pressure. So if you can't delete a full unit or really soften it up to the point of non-existence, a decent combat unit is going to cause huge amounts of problems. I've been taking veteran state troops quite a lot, even equipped with the Griffin banner to double up their static res for rank bonuses. They are still going backwards at a rate of knots. Not having, I think, shield wall is huge for them, and is what marks out, say, Bretonnian men-at-arms as actually being far superior as a core choice than Empire state troops. Yes, Empire state troops, you can get them up to weapon skill 4. Their leadership is naturally a bit better, but they don't have warband, they can't have stubborn, you can't have shield wall as a natural thing built into the force. It makes them a little bit shakier, even with character support. So I definitely need to do a bit more work, I think, in understanding what my main battle line is going to look like to give me that resilience that I need really just to keep the guns firing for as long as possible, because that seems to be where the damage is being done. Turning to the painting side, I have really impressed myself. I think it's been, what, a month and a half since we last talked about the old world around this project piece, and I've got about 1,000 points or so of models painted. Now, I would normally expect in a month to get 20 to 30 models done tops, so it's been a month and a half, let's call it 42 or so models. I have now completed my unit of veteran state troops. These are models mostly from the Mantic Halfling range, although I have also used a few bits from Wargames Atlantic. I've got my level 4 wizard done, my battle standard bearer is done, and on top of that a unit of Mantic Halflings which I'm using as outriders, Kerpler cannon and a steam tank. Not currently making my starting list, but also painted. I've got a warrior priest of Sigmar. I've not tried to use that model yet. Might try and squeeze it into some flagellants as and when they see the tabletop. And I've also painted a halfling created the base for a pre-existing painted model, which I have been using as a cannon and a mortar, depending on what I need in my list. That's probably not going to make the final cut overall, I think, but it is obviously some progress on the painting side. I have to say, I think overall with the project so far, I've been having a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed the feel of Warhammer Old World. Now, none of the opponents I've faced have had the big scary dragons or clouds of skirmishers, so I might not have run into what the meta may well turn into, or what we're hearing the meta is likely steer towards. But they've been pretty fun games, they've been engaging, and they've swung backwards and forwards. It's not been the case as you get with games like Warhammer 40,000, for example, where the game can be all over turn 1, turn 2. There's been big swings turn 6 in some of the games I've played, particularly against Dom's particularly aggressive dwarf force, who just wanted to barrel straight towards me. They took horrendous casualties coming in, but certainly in the second game we played, they really turned it around when my Empire infantry did what infantry seems to do for the Empire, which is absolutely melt. 2 blocks of state troopers, 1 ran off the board, 1 was caused to flee, character lost as a consequence, and there was a huge point swing in his favour, turning it from a comfortable looking position for the Empire to about a 400 point loss. So yeah, I think that swinging nature is something that's quite good about Warhammer Fantasy, because it keeps the game interesting right to the end. Now, this video, it's not all about me. It's also about other people taking part in the project. So we have at this point a interlude while we listen to Luke talk about his progress from January.
Hello, apologies I can't make it to the call on Saturday, but I just wanted to share some progress of the Tomb Kings at the moment. So you can see I've got quite a lot of infantry now, 2 units of archers, 2 units of skeleton warriors with spears, and at the back you've got a unit of Tomb Guard. I've also got some cavalry going too, got some 2 units of horse archers and a unit of spearmen. I've also made a little bit of a kit bash because you get a weird number of models in the box set. So I had this opportunity to make a mounted Leash Priest Hierophant. So I've put a death mask on it, give it a funky staff, and he'll be wandering around, casting spells, doing all sorts of madness. Had a game, I had 2 games already, and he's been very effective so far. So really enjoying the Leash Priest, the mounted Leash Priest. Hierophant is a good option, I think, just for some manoeuvrability and extra functionality you get rather than having him in a big block spears or something like that. I've also got the Stalkers at the back as well, and a Necrosphinx. What I haven't got pictured is what I've yet to build is the War Sphinx that I've got, and I've also got the Bone Dragon that you get in the big box set as well, saving that till last as a bit of a treat. So progress has been slow and steady, just sort of building everything, getting it basically assembled so I have an army to play with and practice when I get a chance. But looking to get some more paint on these in the next month or two. But yeah, getting quite the thoughts now.
Thank you very much, Luke, for providing that video. Now, if you're interested in Luke's content, I should point out he does have his own YouTube channel at Incursion Events, and he's also the maestro for the competition we're hoping to get to in June. If you'd like to check out his channel, I thoroughly recommend it, particularly if you're interested in Warhammer 40,000. There's some brilliant tips and tricks videos about getting the most out of painting and your forces on the tabletop. Details of that channel down in the description below. As I say, do check it out. Fantastic pieces of work. Now, this project's also been opened up to the community of Epic Flail, and we have had a photo in from one of the community members. Dan H has been working on his force since 2001, bit of a slow grow look at Bretonnian. So yes, it looks like they're on the old bases, but some absolutely fantastic work there. Thank you very much, Dan, for sending that in. Hopefully get a few more videos along these topics to you over the next few weeks as the other Tale of Gamers are able to send some updates over to me. Ideally, by the end of March, we'll be looking at normal service being resumed and a proper catch-up for everyone involved. All that remains for me to say is thank you very much for listening to this video. If you've enjoyed it and you want to keep abreast of this project, or maybe check out some of the other videos floating around about all things Warhammer the Old World, do consider subscribing to the channel. It is the best way, along with giving up just a few moments of your time to watch the videos, in supporting a small channel like this one. A like also would be a massive boon for the algorithm. Once again, thank you very much for watching. I am Return to the Old World. Have a great day.